Thank you, Betsy. So we're going to be talking with Matt Simons today. Our focus is at the City Resilience Office. Turn my phone off. Just a little intro to us. So we run challenges, as you know. We've taken applications over the years from we've taken over 300 applications from 30 countries and provided over $6 million in catalytic funding. We've piloted over 30 new solutions in our region, and our companies have gone on to raise over $38 billion in private investment. So we have also created or retained over 120 jobs in our area and 200 trained in resilience type related technologies and applications. The point here is that we have a functioning, proven challenge system that you will be a part of as you enter here, and our success is your success is our success. We want you to go ahead after we fund you for a successful pilot to go on and get either paying customers and or further private investment. So we have the pathway to do that, and we want you to succeed in that. Our next challenge here is obviously we're talking about today, the Flood Insurance of the Future challenge. This is one that we're running with a specific goal to reduce flood-related insurance premiums and payouts by 50%. Keep this in mind as you submit. If you're submitting as a team, we need to know how your integrated effort is going to be directed towards reaching this goal and how it should be measured. If you are coming to with your submission and it's just a piece of the puzzle, maybe it's a data set or data source or something like that, we need you to describe what is needed in order to reach this goal here. And if you can't reach this goal, how close to this goal you can get. So that's really our bottom line, and that's our way of comparing solutions together to decide which to fund. It's all got to be related towards this. If you're not submitting something that does the whole job, explain what is needed to get to that point. I won't read all of this. This is all available, but you get the winners of the funding get up to $300,000 to an individual company, or $750 to groups of companies developing integrated products. And we also give you other support as is outlined here. And again, that's in the other recorded presentation and in our guidelines from our website. Some dates of importance here. November 30th is the submission deadline. We will be announcing the finalists by December the 20th. January 10th, these finalists will be asked to submit additional detailed presentation materials and additional materials. That has to be submitted by January 10th. We will be having pitches between February the 1st and the 11th. And at the end of February, we will announce the winners. These are the winners that will get funded, and they'll be announced how much they'll get funded. March 2023, we want the winners to be under contract so as they can start work. And the deadline for the projects is the end of the year, December 31, 2023. All of those timeline dates can be and may be amended as required, but we're trying to keep to them as much as possible at this point. We are having there you go, weekly info sessions, this being one of them, and I want to just run through some of the sessions we're lining up here. November 3rd, we're bringing in the insurance industry perspectives with our friends from Munich Re and Hamilton, as well as from the American Family Group, which is an investor. So there will be an investor, someone representing the investor community at that presentation. On November 10th, we're going to bring in some of the data folks. We're bringing in the Institute, the Insurance Institute, and we're trying to work with First Street Foundation to bring them in to discuss what their data sources and that some of their other efforts in there. By the way, if anyone has any questions as we're going along, raise your hand electronically. Betsy, you can keep an eye on that, and questions, we can answer questions as we go along. November 17th is we want to bring in a representative in the InsurTech field, and that will probably be Charlie Sidoti from Insure in Boston. November 22nd is around Thanksgiving, so we'll just have a general Q&A session to keep the regularity of this, just in case anything comes up, because we will be getting close to the deadline. And we're working to work in our friends from the Reinsurance Association of America to come in and talk to us about the community disaster resilience zones, as well as various NFIP efforts that they're working on. I'm not sure when that's going to be. We don't have too many weeks left, but it's an important topic area, and we certainly want to get them involved. So stay tuned for that. We will be putting out notices for each one of these presentations, including if we can get the RAA one up and running. We're working hard on that to try and bring that one in. So that's a summary of what we're doing and timelines and what's going to happen here over the next few weeks. Are there any questions from anyone online here? There was a question that had been brought up in the past about judges. We're lining up our judging team right now. These will be people from the industry, from government, and people working, subject matter experts in the field. As we confirm them, we'll be posting them online, so you'll get to know who they are. You'll certainly know in advance for those who are chosen to pitch. You'll know who the judges are well in advance of your presentation. So any other questions from anyone? Okay, so let's just go straight to the Q&A. We have with us Matt Simons here, who's with the City Resilience Office of the City of Norfolk. Matt's going to talk to us about some of the resilience efforts going on within the city itself. Matt, are you there? Are you joining us?
Yes, I'm here. The laptop I'm on does not have a camera, so apologize for that. I'm in a hotel lobby at the moment. But yes, I'm happy to share a few things. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now for a story map site, a GIS story map site, to one project that I'm going to speak to, which is our Ohio Creek Watershed project. So feel free to grab that link. You can look through it on your own if you'd like. But this is just
Matt, I'm going to bring it up and share the screen so everyone can see it. Okay, so you can
perfect.
Talk to it as we go along. Okay.
Perfect. So that's one resource I'll share with the group. That's a particular project that we are finishing up right now. That it's a $112 million project funded primarily through HUD during the National Disaster Resiliency Competition, and it is a low-income historically African-American community that is at flood risk. It's not a community that is at absolute most flood risk in our community, but as part of our equitable strategy, we want to focus on those that are most at risk and most vulnerable. So it's a combination of factors there. So because of the social vulnerabilities, this community made the most sense for the color of money that we were seeking for a sort of first major flood protection infrastructure project. It does include a series of berms and flood walls, and we will be providing significant flood protection for the community. We're not necessarily, though, seeking to have this neighborhood removed from the special flood hazard area under FEMA. We are providing a level of protection that is in excess of the 1%, about 2 feet of freeboard, but we're not meeting every single requirement that FEMA would need in order to take it out of the special flood hazard area. So these properties will still be subject to the mandatory flood insurance purchase requirement through the NFIP. We may be able to work with them to reduce their rates, but this is part of the challenge here is what are the ways that we can seek reductions in their flood insurance rates. I want to jump to a different project though, if I can encourage folks to Google at some point the City of Norfolk's program for public information, and I'm happy to share my screen to just so you can do a quick screen grab and make sure that you capture this document. Okay. And let me just do this real quick. So this is the City of Norfolk Program for Public Information. We have a flood insurance coverage assessment that's in this document that's providing great information, lots of really important insurance data, talks about the number of policies, our penetration rate in our community. We do have about 12,000 policies as of the last time we checked in 2000. And we've been waiting a little bit to let Risk Rating 2.0 kind of move through the system so that everybody is under that program and had a renewal under that program before taking another snapshot so we can see what everyone's reaction is to that new program. But this is kind of the baseline of right before that. Risk Rating 2.0 was not in place yet. So this is the legacy system, but we had about 12,000 policies. A little more than half of those are in the special flood hazard area. And the penetration rate for that is about 80%, which is very, very good for the National Flood Insurance Program. So out of about 9,900 insurable properties, we're getting 6,800 policies. And so we're doing pretty good on that. It's hard to capture the exact range because of all of our condo properties. Some of these condos have individual policies on each condo. Some have everybody covered under one policy for the whole building. And so there's a lot of variableness there. So it could range from 69% to 90% penetration, which is why we're just guesstimating the median at 80. But the whole point of this is go through this document on your own, see what sort of information it's able to inform you, and we just want to make sure that you have all of the best robust data to perform in this challenge. I will mention, and I'll pull up one other program, which is the program that we're doing with the Army Corps. So let me reshare my screen.
Matt, did you put a link in the chat to that last?
I did not have a chance to grab the link. I just had the PDF. So it is somewhere online, but I don't. Okay. I don't have it. If anyone on your team finds it, throw it into the chat for that program for public information.
Okay. Just for everyone's notice, we will be posting those links here after the presentation.
Excellent.
So you can get them.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, so for this project, I'm not going to go through every slide. This is the gist of it for us. We're doing a big project with the Army Corps of Engineers, a series of flood walls and levees, and a whole non-structural program with nearly 1,000 parcel-specific properties, home elevations, basement fills, flood proofing, and this is the snapshot I want for everyone to embed in your minds. So this is the design flood event without the project on the left, with the project on the right. It'll be a series of projects, 5 phases, 4 physical or structural phases, and then the 5th phase is a non-structural, which is the hatched areas, diagonal hatching that you see on the screen. These are areas that could not be justified by a flood wall, so we have to do another measure, a parcel-specific measure. This first phase that we're in, which is phase 1, total project value $615 million on that phase, altogether $1.8 billion on the entire array of phases, and it's looking about to be like a 10-year projects. So we're focusing on phase 1A right now in design, 35% design, hopefully going to construction 2024. And here's all the money. And then here's some zoomed in views of the different phases. This is phase 2. Everything you see in purple would be protected by the measure.
Hey Matt, can you go back to the picture? Yeah, that one there that you got your cursor on right there. So
Sure.
And by the way, everyone, this is your time. So if you got questions, raise your hands and interrupt me. That's fine. But this is a picture that in the blue oval there is the wall that's currently being designed with Matt's office and the Army Corps, and that wall, when it's extended all the way to the west and the northwest there, will protect the whole downtown core of the city of Norfolk. So we have the opportunity here to look at a flood protection system that is being designed and to actually understand it from the cost of insurance perspective and what will be the reduction in the cost of insurance when this thing is complete, and to get in on the ground floor of a project like that, because the design is just being started right now. It's not finalized. It's got a little ways to go. But Matt will be able to provide information on this for your solutions if you wanted to consider a project like this. There are going to be many, many more in other communities like this, but this is a way to get in on the ground floor if it makes sense for your idea and for your project.
Right. So for us, one of our big concerns is that unlike the scenario that I just described with Ohio Creek, where that neighborhood will not be taken out of the special flood hazard area, all of these projects that I'm now showing on the screen, the citywide array of projects, are all going to be meeting the Army Corps standards. And when we look at everything they're meeting, we believe that it's going to be sufficient to remove most of the city from the special flood hazard area. That sounds like a solution, but it's actually a little bit of a problem from an insurance standpoint, because that means that we will have 9,000 properties, nearly 10,000, that would then sort of be dropped from the mandatory flood insurance purchase requirement. And given that risk rating 2.0 in many cases has, well, regardless of risk rating 2.0, given the fact that flood insurance is expensive, once the mandatory flood insurance purchase requirement is removed, there will be lots of folks who make the financial personal decision to drop their policy, especially trusting in the wall. And although there's some truth to that, this is a flood risk reduction project. It's not a flood risk elimination project. And so if we end up in a situation where we have 9,000 or more properties choosing to drop their policies because it's an expense that they can no longer justify in their minds, especially since risk rating 2.0 now no longer provides many of the great incentives that the legacy program provided when properties were mitigated. We no longer have the preferred risk policies. We no longer have that affordable option. It appears to us that there will be mass drops in policies. If there could be some other unique, creative way through many of the other insurance tools, financing tools that are out there to provide an additional level of coverage, recognizing we do have flood protection, and maybe that additional level of coverage is now extremely affordable, we would love to see that sort of solution provided, because then that would allow us the ability to provide another option than simply dropping your policy simply because FEMA mapped us out of the flood zone because there's a wall there. And that's where I'll pause to field any questions on the intent of this challenge that you might have for me.
So I'd ask one more thing, Matt, just for your summary of the community rating system and how it impacts what you have been doing in the past and how it might in the future.
So we are in the community rating system. We just recently got to class 5. We're tied for top in Virginia. We're definitely top in terms of savings when you add up the policies. And so risk class 5 is very good in the program at a national level. we are taking the steps now to jump to class 3. That would put us in top tier, like top 15 to 20 in the whole of communities in the whole country. What that means would be we would jump from class 5, 25% reduction on flood insurance premiums, to class 3, 35% reduction on flood insurance premiums. However, risk rating 2.0 has made it very difficult for older communities that have a lot of pre-firm structures to actually realize their CRS discount. And that's a whole nother discussion as to the reasons why. But
so Matt, I'm just going to jump in here. Martin has his hand up. Martin, do you want to ask a question?
Sure.
Yes, hi, thanks Matt and thanks Paul. I know risk rating 2.0 takes into account levies and other flood protection, and it uses the National Levy Database inventory to offer a sort of condition assessment for each of those levies, and obviously that's for existing levies. How is that dealt with for these new projects? And is there a process or a solution that monitors the condition, the ongoing condition of these new defenses?
so yes, there will be a process to monitor the ongoing condition with annual inspection reports provided to the Corps, and then another series of inspections that occur with the Corps. I think it's every 5 years, to make sure that we are maintaining all of these structures in their appropriate condition. And there's a full, operations, maintenance, rehabilitation, repair plan that's in place, and the Corps is on top of that. But for your first question, so we have heard the same that you are describing about discounts for communities that provide flood protection. My faith in the ability to see that realized is greatly diminished, because we heard the same sort of promises of savings from things like, if you install flood vents in your home for a CRS community, or actually regardless of CRS. And we're hearing by and large from the mitigation community that there's lots of reasons why those solutions that were receiving financial incentives under the legacy program are no longer receiving them or realizing them under the risk rating 2.0. Additionally, if you elevate your home, yes, it is a factor in the rating variable as to the height of your finished floor elevation, but it is now counterweighted by so many other new factors and variables, such as the distance from the water, the class of the river, the state that you're in, that those discounts are being so greatly absorbed by the other weighted variables that it's essentially no longer providing any type of incentive to do these mitigation measures. And my fear is that the same thing might be realized under the promises of reduction for levies and other Army Corps approved structures. So I would have to see a case study that really compared very clearly apples to apples, that would show how these types of measures being adopted into the National Registry could truly provide that reduction before I would give real serious weight and consideration to that as part of the calculus.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Martin. We're sort of bumping up against the end here. Are there any questions from any of the other folks on the Zoom here? Okay, so we will we'll wrap it up here. We'll put a link to this recording and Matt's links here that he suggested. Send us questions. Oh, Lauren, you got in at the last minute. Do you have a question?
Yeah, just real quick. Thanks, Paul and Matt. Just Matt, real quick. I mean, is most of the flooding issues mostly coming from the water bodies, like from the creek or stream, or do you have any other issues relating to impervious area in the city center?
So we certainly do have issues whenever we have a rain bomb event, and we're experiencing more frequent intensity events from precipitation. And so that is a concern of ours. But at the end of the day, when we have a hurricane and we get that storm surge, it's the storm surge that by and large produces the bulk of our flood claims. I would say at least 80%, if not a little bit more, of our flood claims are the result of these storm surge events. Now they're compounded upon when we have a really serious rainfall event during a storm surge event, and those pipes are all full to begin with, and so it's exacerbated a bit. But our community very much is the controlling factor here is the storm surge. There's only so much additional intensity that a rain bomb event can produce upon our system, but it appears that there's a much larger delta of risk that we could experience through these different hurricanes. So there's a huge delta between a Category 1 and a Category 4 hurricane in terms of how that impacts our city. And so that's the overarching factor that's driving our risk.
We've got one question here from Chloe in the chat. What steps should applicants take to ensure the proposals to the flood insurance of the future program fit into the values and priorities laid out in existing documents accepted at the city level, like Norfolk 2100 or Plan Norfolk 2030? It's a good question. Winners to the challenge will be piloting their project here in this region, probably in the city of Norfolk. So, but you need to be able to scale to other communities. Matt, go ahead.
Right. So if this was a year or 2 years ago, I would probably answer that question by saying that it matters tremendously. But in the past year, we have taken our Army Corps project from being on the shelf to being fully funded. And so that changes everything. And we will have to make major changes to Norfolk Vision 2100. And we are in the process of adopting a new Plan Norfolk 2050. So, we are experiencing major changes to our plans that now incorporate a post Army Corps flood wall a future. So we're drafting a floodplain management plan right now. I hope to have a draft version ready for our planning commission in December. And if I do, I'll make sure that I send that draft to Paul, so that way he can see what's the best planning document to reference that incorporates all of these Army Corps projects into our vision for floodplain management planning.
Yeah, and just keep in mind in a general sense that we're trying to keep Matt as involved in this challenge as he possibly can. He does have a day job, but his involvement is going to be very important and it's very helpful. So you'll be able to ask him further questions as we go along here. So it's a good question. Thank you. Okay, we run over 2 minutes. Thank you all so much for your time. Send us your questions. Check out the recording and the links that Betsy will be putting out. And thank you all for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.